Hi guys, it's nice to have you back here at the Ball Business to explain this. I know it's been a very busy summer for every one of us, but it's nice to have you guys at this exciting episode again. So I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Fumbi. I would say your favorite FIFA licensed agent and sports business consultant. And if you are joining us today and this is your first time on this platform, what we are doing basically today is we allow you guys to ask questions. You can send your questions via WhatsApp, via our contact form on the email or on the website, and we bring it to life. We discuss it. Some of these questions are discussed on our premium group, on our WhatsApp group. And if you want to be part of this, please reach out to us. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. So today, the first question is a bit dicey and is about solidarity contribution. So you see that on the screen, and this gentleman sent this message saying a club owes solidarity payment to three previous academies on a transfer it closed. Who actually calculates this that split, and can I trust the number the buying club gives me? So this particular story is a bit sad. And when you are in the business and you face this sort of challenge, or somebody who has an academy, probably in Africa or in South America, because this problem is not so prevalent in Europe, and I'll tell you why. So this was actually a case we tried to solve, and I believe that I asked him, I got his consent to say, can I share this question on live? And the person gave us the go ahead. So here we are. So there's this particular academy in Ghana, and this agent has been working with this academy, and they've actually done good amount of deals, and they've moved. But one of the things that has been happening is this academy lacks structure. So this is it. They get a player from, let's say, Academy A because of anonymity. Then they take the player from Academy A to Academy B. Then Academy B moves the player abroad. So now Academy A has been waiting for what they call, solidarity payment. For those of us that doesn't really understand what solidarity payment means, um, in simple parlance, solidarity payment is that payment that you get from FIFA is a portion of the whole transfer fee. So let's say in this case the transfer fee is 10,000. 5% of 10,000 will be shared to all the clubs that has trained that particular player. So depending on the age, you can find this on Article 21 or Annex 5 of the RSTP. So you can also find it on the videos that we've done. So let me just continue with my story. So he has done this three three times now, or I think so, with this particular academy, and they don't get it. And these are the things that will make academies or agents lose out on negotiating a very good solidarity contribution for their clients or the clubs that they manage. Is number one is the structural problem. So you see a lot of these academies in South America, in Africa, they are not properly registered. If you don't register your academy with FIFA, with first you register with your national FA. Once you register your academy with your national FA or your club, then you get your ID, then you register with FIFA through your what TMS. So through your transfer matching system. So each academy must have a transfer matching system because every player, as long as is going international, will have what they call the FIFA ID. So if you don't show in the ID, then there is no way that you get solidarity contribution. So this gentleman in Ghana with this issue has actually done the proper thing by negotiating the deal for the boys. And I'll be honest, he's a very honest person while we were conversing. But the academics kept coming back, oh, when are we getting this? When are we getting that? And he didn't know this problem existed until this summer when they already did another deal to say, okay, and we started investigating. We saw the academy where the player was coming from. I mean, the previous academy before the academy that moved it had no TMS. So now the academy has lost money and they spent like 3, 4 years developing these players. So the question is, how do you get it? Or how do you get your academy on TMS? So if you need help with that, you can still send us a DM. I will just try and try and run go around it so that we don't waste everybody's time. And also another problem. This is the waiver. The second one, when we check the second issue, when the player was this is under academy, but I'll still use A and B, was leaving to the other academy in Ghana, you know, in the contract in which they gave to the academy, they already waived their solidarity contribution. And once you put it in the contract and you waive it, you cannot get it. As long as it is being waived and it is being recorded on the electronic on the TMS, and you check the player's electronic player passport, even though the academy shows, but if that waiver on that section of the TMS, that waiver has been uploaded and FIFA has seen it, then you lose your right to solidarity contribution. So these are some of the reasons why academies miss payment on solidarity contribution. So maybe one of these days in the group, in the licensed agents group or in the general group, I'll send a screenshot of what the TMS and what the waiver looks like so that all of us can have a feel of what it is. But as an agent, when you're trying to move players, especially in Africa or South America, because of record purposes, ask, is this academy on TMS? What is the ID? What is this? What is that of that academy? So that proper structure, proper infrastructure should be put in place. Then to answer the question in which the elephant in the room, who actually calculates it? The calculation is automatic. The calculation is automatic. Solidarity contribution is 95 plus 5 rule. So they take 5% of the whole portion. So this is your transfer fee. This is 100%. So 5% of this pencil. So let's say this is the tip here. The eraser part is the 5%. Is that 5% they will now distribute to the academies or training clubs that are trained? Another question that a lot of people would ask when regarding training compensation or I mean solidarity contribution is if if the academy or the club are the ones that transferred this player, are they able to still get solidarity contribution? The truth is yes. The truth is you are able to get solidarity contribution. I'm going to allow me to join before we just quickly move into the second part. Hi, Midun. How are you doing?
Hi, Fumbi. Hi, everyone. It's nice to be back amongst family once
Yes.
again. I thought the time I'll come back would be when Messi wins his second World Cup, but unfortunately, that didn't happen.
I would say don't try and poke the bear. Don't try and poke the bear. So I was just trying to answer this question on solidarity contribution, saying that although the calculation is automatic through FIFA clearinghouse, but the issue in terms of missing has to deal with infrastructure. If your academy is not registered on TMS, if you didn't check the electronic player passport, those are the contributing factors that can allow an academy or an individual miss out on solidarity contribution. So, do you have any comment? I was just about diving into question two before you came on.
Yeah, I think I can contribute one or two things to this conversation. And when it comes to solidarity, payments and even training compensation, there is always a period, EPP review process. During the EPP review process, where there's a period where they check the EPP to see if all the parties, that should be there are there. And just like you said, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you. I'm trying to
Okay,
put a link to the general community so that everybody can join. I'm
okay.
not.
So
I think Media's network is a bit not on the good side. So I'll just fill in the gaps for him in that regard. So, like I was saying, it's more of a structural problem, and in terms of the calculation, it is done by FIFA. It is automatic. Once it's there on the TMS, the EPP, everybody looks at it. Unless there's a waiver that has been uploaded, and some of these European clubs are very sophisticated. They just put these clauses in the transfer agreement concerning the players. And as agents, it's nice that we do due diligence to always look at this. So while we wait for Midon to get back, let's look at question two. And this is a very interesting question as well. So question two, I think the network live is a bit bad. Question two is about an investor. Guys, I think we have a break in transmission. Okay, Midon is back. Midon, is your network good now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, is your network okay now, Midon? Can you hear me?
Okay. So, like I said, there is always a review process where people have to check whether or not they are in
Oh, it's very sad today. What
hear
network has
me.
come? Yeah, I
I
can hear
switched
you
to the
now.
Wi-Fi already.
Yeah.
Okay. So I made mention that there is always a review process where teams can, check and flag it and say, oh, I wasn't included in the EPP, I wasn't included in this process, I was included in that. There's always a gap between these things, and clubs need to be aware of this. And if you advise in a club, you also need to be able to advise them properly and tell them, oh, check, you have a period, just a 15, I think, 15 days window, 15 or 14 days window, where you can, yeah, quickly check and ensure that okay, everything is all right before they move ahead. Because once they move ahead, they assume that everyone has checked, the association has checked, and that everything is in order. So if you are not able to check, that creates problems when people are like, "Oh, I wasn't included, I wasn't paid." And just like you said, you also need to register. Is your TMS, stuff up to date? Is your FIFA Connect up to date? And all these things like that, they all contribute to whether or not you get your solidarity contributions or even your training compensations.
Oh, okay, thank you. Somebody, Sprint said you are downloading movie in the background. maybe that's maybe that's why your Wi-Fi is lagging. Yes, so it's nice to understand the technical nuances behind solidarity contribution. But most times, from the cases that we saw, especially why this question came up, you will see that it is a mistake from a whole lot of other people. They don't even know, they don't confirm whether these academies or these clubs even have an already existing TMS, which is a very big prevalent problem. So let's look at question two. I'm not sure Tumisha is. So question two is about, let me read it out from here. Question two says, an investor wants to fund a 16 years old move to Europe in exchange for a cut of any future transfer fees. Is that arrangement actually legal? Do you want to go first, bro?
Well, we both know that this is something that we come across often, and
Yeah.
uh, everyone needs to know about the FIFA third party rules, and they really need to be careful when it comes to third party rules because you have third party ownership and you have third party influence. Now, for ownership, you know that you cannot own a part or the whole of a player's economic rights. So this also includes future transfer fees, and the like that. Once an investor is saying, oh, you know what, when you move next, I'm going to get 20% of your next move or your next transfer fee or your sign-on fee, then that's already creating a situation where the investor is owning, you know, a part of the player's economic right, and it's always usually frowned upon by FIFA. Um, Sometimes we know that it could be prevalent at times, but we need to be sure that, or we need to know, sorry, that it is not legal according to FIFA's RSTP. It is a violation of third-party ownership, and even for third-party influence. Just for those that might not know, third-party influence just concerns clubs majorly, where investors have an influence over a club's employment, um, related matters, saying, oh, you know what, I'm going to sponsor you, but you have to give a certain playing time to this player. You have to give this, you have to be already influencing the club's independence to make employment related decisions or even transfer related decisions also. So yeah, I would love to hear what you have to say on that from you.
For me, I'll just take a bit more practical approach because this question is stemming out from we know from Africa, and it's very common in Ghana, to be honest. You know, shout out to my Ghanaian brothers, massive love to them. There's this business model that they say they have what they call the managers, and these managers they fund the travels, they fund the feeding of these players, they buy boots for them, and in expecting that once these players they move abroad, then they're able to get a kind of commission. So the players to them are like real estate. You try and invest. Then in the future when there's uh, an increment in your investment portion, of course, the player is now a big player, and or the life of the player is better than what it used to be. Then they're able to get things back. And for me, see that as a very slippery slope. You've already said what the law says or the position of FIFA in that regard, that these things are point blank illegal. But the slippery slope is, would you now say that people shouldn't do it? Or, I mean, in terms of helping players or helping young players get that opportunity in Africa? That's not the issue here. You can do it, you can help them, sponsor them. By all means, please facilitate people's transfers as managers, but don't expect to get money from their transfer agreement because transfer agreement is for clubs. So what you can do on the safer side, I always say it is a very commonsensical thing to do. Just register a company, make it a sports management company. Get into real agreement with these guys. And if you cannot read, sit down, or, have time to pass the exam, or or you just don't want to be interested in being a FIFA agent, which is fine, just register your company as a sports management company, get into commercial agreement with these players that you're sponsoring, and pray and hope or facilitate it that one day these players would sign for Nike, or you start getting endorsement deals, and legally you can make money from there. But if you are waiting and saying, okay, now the player is moving, you want to get money from the transfer fee, I'm sorry, brother, that is not happening. That is point blank wrong. And agents, I know some agents because they want to sit back, they are so laid back, they have the opportunity, they actually have the right contract. But oftentimes, the European clubs don't want to pay, for the flight or the accommodation until the player signs. Then they can now refund. So these agents, they will tell the managers to go ahead and say, you know what, when they sign, I'll give you this. And the club will tell you, no, that's not happening. Then it becomes an issue. And if you look at what Tung says, I shout out to you, Tung. Says, since we are talking about TPO, I want to ask, what do you think about multi-club ownership? There's a big debate that it causes conflict of interest between clubs owned by same person or entity. Yes, there's a big debate. I'll let Mido answer that, then I'll give a kind of a follow-up.
Yeah, well, for multi-club ownership, you already know, or I assume you already know that for clubs owned by multiple, for clubs owned by multiple owners. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Can you
It's
hear me?
perfect. Yes, it's perfect.
Okay, okay. So for clubs owned by multiple owners, they cannot participate in the same competition. For
Yes.
example, if um, I have a club in the Premier League or maybe a consortium and I own a large percentage of the shares. I cannot have another club in the Premier League where I own a large number of shares playing in the Premier League. And I know where people are going to come from and say, oh, what about Champions League teams where you have Red Star and the whole red. To be fair, it's still an
Red
issue
Bull.
going on with FIFA and everyone is still battling it. I'll be very honest with you, it's still an issue, it's still an ongoing issue. But usually the argument they always come from is they do not own a large percentage of the shares. And it's always owned by, a consortium and the likes like that. But trust me, it's still something that is still ongoing at FIFA level. Everyone is still, saying these things. You have the Manchester City group with Girona, and the likes like that. You have the Red Star, that's the RB Leipzig, Red Star Belgrade and the likes like that. So obviously, it creates a conflict of interest, definitely. But it's still something that's still ongoing. There are still ongoing conversations on it. If you check online also, you still see papers by, educators, professors on this issue. So it's still a very no, eesh.
Yes, Tunk. It's nice. What I would just say, I don't know if you can hear me. So what I would just say, I think we lost the middle there. And this is Tunk's comment if I just join in. It says, since we are talking about TPO, he wants to ask what about multi-club ownership? So multi-club ownership, to prevent the TPO aspect of it, FIFA has just brought in this rule. I think it's FIFA or EU. I think it's UEFA group. Uh, UEFA structure in terms of whoever is sitting on the board, there's a certain amount of stake that you can own. There's a certain amount of shares that you can own in that particular entity. So if you look at City Group, like you rightly mentioned, Man City, Girona, and all of that, the big issue now is not even about them playing in the same competition because, of course, they're talking about the integrity of the game. But in terms of the ownership, we're talking about them exchanging players, and we've still seen players like Savinho moving from that group Girona to Man City. But you have to look at the nuances, you have to look at the number. And what the clubs are always doing is as long as you can prove that the integrity of the game is not being tampered with, then no issues. The same thing going back to the first question, that can you sponsor players and all and get a part of the fees? The essence why that is a wrong business model is because of the integrity of the game. Usually TPO used to happen. We have the Tevez, you have the Mascherano issues, but the integrity of the game was questioned because now these managers, quote and unquote, have big decisions or big influence on these players, and that can influence the game. So, Tunk, I hope that that really makes sense, and we can still even jump on WhatsApp later and have a very, very lovely conversation. I think we should put this on the group and open the floor so that more people can talk about it. So, yeah, question three. Let me see what question three says here, and we bring that out. It says, okay, before question three, somebody said, what do you think about an academy sending their players to a local league team and having an agreement? You're welcome, brother. And having an agreement concerning the player eventually traveling abroad for a pro league contract. So if you looked at Vic Dosa, structurally there's no issues with it as long as, like I said, the integrity of the game is fine. So if you are sending your player from a local league team and having an agreement, the issue is what sort of agreement are you having? That's the crux of the question. You can always have an agreement, maybe a loan agreement, a fee transfer, or even a sell on clause. There's no problem as long as the team is registered and you can lay claims to it. So what I would just say to those local team is, in as much, and these things are not expensive. So for example, let's say you're a team in Nigeria, you're a local team in Nigeria, just affiliate yourself with the state FA. So it is that state FA because that document is very, very important. Whenever you want to get claims in future or there's an issue, these are the evidences that you would present as agent or as sport lawyers when you are facing the FIFA tribunal. So what I would advise the local teams to do is affiliate with your local club, register with your state FA because the state FA, by virtue, is affiliated to your national FA and your national FA to FIFA. Then when that player is moving, after agreement in place, then start monitoring the player that is going abroad. Immediately they get a pro contract because you're already registered with your state FA, which would allow you register in the FIFA TMS. Then you can get all this clip. So all of these things are very, very easy to do. We just don't pay attention to them. So there is no problem. Welcome back, Middle. There is no problem with you sending your player to abroad if or on any agreement, as long as the agreement is legal and as long as you have structure to back that up. So yes, going to the third question now. So the third question is saying, I have a scout who helped me get a player. Is there a standardized way of sharing the commission percentage with him? I think this question came, if you are in the licensed agents group, you must have seen this question. I think it was very early this week. And when somebody asked, "You're welcome, Victosa. What is the sharing formula or sharing commission if you are paying a scout?" Medium, are you going? Do you want to?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're an agent, definitely you cannot pay a scout, um, you know, money or a commission of the transfer fee or their salary. But what you can go about it is you can pay a finder's fee. Because remember, a scout is not a licensed intermediary, and you'll be opening yourself up to, you know, legal liabilities when if you treat a scout as an intermediary. However, what you can do is you can agree a finder's fee with the scout, on behalf of the player, saying, "Oh, okay, you got this player, so I'm going to pay you this certain amount," you know. However, the scout cannot participate in getting money for agent services. Why? Because he or she is not an agent. I do not want to speak too much on that, but that's the basic and most straightforward answer you can ever get. You can, agree a finder's fee and then just move on.
Yeah. So in terms of the percentage as well, it depends. You can give him $100,000. You can give him $1,000, depending on how much you want to give. You can even give him anything, but just don't term that money as part of the commission that you're receiving from the player. Because the only time you can share a commission with another person or another entity is if the person is also licensed and there must be a mandate in place. And the crux of all of this is because we might think, oh, this is just something that you can do by the side, but you don't want to be found out. You don't know who can just report you to FIFA, and some people might just even be testing you because it is a slippery slope and you just lose your means of livelihood. Whatever you are doing is just the name. Just call it a finder fee, call it a consulting fee, call it an introduction fee, and yeah, it's very much okay. You can give him everything
All
that you even
semantics,
want.
yeah.
What did you say?
But all semantics, yeah.
It's all semantics. Yes, yes. Because aside from the that's the link to join the community, guys. Aside from this question, somebody actually messaged me as well. Talking about, oh, I chatted with this person. This person is asking me, I will pay him this for consulting, and I'm like, I'm sorry, it's not illegal. In as much as it sounds, very unlogical, it's quite, it's not illegal. And you'll be surprised, there are a lot of scouts that are even more and well connected than agents, and they just want to get paid for making that introduction. Some call it introduction fee or introductory fee, and they introduce your player to the club. Whether a player signs or not, you have to pay them. So yeah. So the next question. Middle, someone says you are downloading a movie. Are you actually downloading a movie?
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not. I don't know what's going on today because I can see my data speed and it's pretty high. So yeah, I think it's just one of those days, to be fair.
Okay, question 4. You want to go ahead and read it?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah. Um, can you please read it?
Yeah, it says my client wants to end our representation agreement early. No dispute. He's just changed his mind. What are my actual rights here, and can it just work? This happened in Asia.
Oh, okay. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
Okay, let me. Well, it's very interesting issue, and it happens a lot. And it might not even necessarily mean that the guy is just saying, "You know what, I'm not doing it again." Is that they have an exclusive agreement with you, and actually signing with uh, another agency because that agency or that quote unquote manager wants to move them to a club, and they are believing that you are acting slowly or you are not acting fast enough. So this is an actual case. This is an actual question that it was raised. What I would just say is, for me, I always say proper documentation. I would just say it's proper documentation as to what the rep agreement is at the initial stage. You cannot cry foul if you don't tie all the loose ends. We are very fast to, download just any template online or just tell somebody, please, can I see what a rep agreement looks like? Or you just ask ChatGPT and, it's good. It's nice to leverage on AI, but at least you do it properly. So what I would just advise is yes, the player can leave, but what are the confines in which he can leave? What are the agreements? What are the termination agreements that are in place? And the biggest right that you have that is being covered by the FFAR is at least you are able to get paid for the contract that you negotiated until that contract is run down. But can he walk away? Yes. Will there be consequences? The consequences will be confined to the agreement that you guys have signed. Yeah, I will leave the floor to a renowned lawyer, Middle.
Well, I think what I would say is you've pretty much covered everything. But what I would say is um, parties are bound by the terms of the contract. The representation agreement at the end of the day is still a contract. So it will all depend on what is contained in that contract. And like Fumbi rightly mentioned, obviously you have a right, regardless of what happens, to commissions based off of the contract you negotiated for the player. Probably commercial deals or even um, the playing contracts with the club. And one thing you need to know is a lot of people, when they draft contracts, they don't pay attention to termination clauses. How can you terminate? Do you give notice for termination? Do you do this? Do you do that? And I know that we have, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we have a couple of templates, legal templates on Ballbridge where people
Yes,
can just, go
we
and
do.
check.
I was going to actually mention that because you see a lot of people, especially now. I think it's reduced now because I believe the community knows. You just go to Bob Bridge and you can see a
Fair
lot
enough.
of templates there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, a lot of people don't pay attention to termination clauses. And I feel like they are probably, if not the most important, but one of the most important clauses that you need to pay attention to in a contract. Um, so yeah, it will depend on whether or not on the terms of the termination clauses, and also definitely they can leave, but you are also guarded by FIFA in terms of the fact that you are definitely going to be paid for the contract you terminated for. And one thing you should know is you cannot hold someone who doesn't want to be in business with you. I think that's something that we need to learn. So if someone says, "Yo, I'm not doing anymore," obviously the terms of termination would follow what is in the contract. But I would not even advise for you to keep being in business with someone who says he doesn't want to be in business with you anymore. And we see it every day. A lot of players, you just see the news. Oh, this player has terminated his contract with the agent. It just means that for future deals, they won't be able to do business. But for the deal that they've done, the agent will definitely still get his commissions. So if you have to take anything from everything both of us have said, one, pay attention to termination clauses. What are the rights you have, you know, under the termination clause? Two, you are definitely protected. Three, the player can leave definitely, and the consequences is you are protected. You get your money, or if the right processes which are featured in the termination clauses are not followed, you also have a right to breach of contract and the likes like that. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers it.
think the truth is, I was even thinking we were going to mention the case where it also happened to us with one of our clients. You know, we are advising players, and he's a very young player, to be honest. I think he was 19, and you know the parents are advising him otherwise and things like that. We ourselves we had to terminate the contract. I think I shared the story one time, and this is, you know, kind of a client that will drive, I'm not exaggerating, drive 4 hours to go and speak to club on his behalf. You know, I'll be getting home around 2 a.m., you know, and we just had to say, you know what, we are sorry, we are not doing it again. And
I
yes,
think I can.
go both ways. Yeah, me do.
Yeah, I think I can remember. I think I can remember when you went when you we were speaking like around 2, 3 a.m. and you were like,
Yes.
"Oh, you're just getting back," and you had left since morning, and I was like, "Ugh,"
And that
you
was in
know.
January, it was really
Um,
cold.
yeah, and it could be painful at times, when a player says, or when you have to terminate a contract with someone. But sometimes, like I said, if someone is showing that they are not willing to do business with you, there is really no reason for you to keep being in that contract with the person. Just follow the right termination processes in the clause, and you'll be fine. But as agents, I don't think you should be scared of terminating your of
it, it goes both ways. Agents can terminate, players can terminate. You know,
yeah.
it goes both ways. And just always now try as much as possible. If you don't include it before, start including exit clauses in your contract. But FIFA already protects us. If the player likes, let him go. As long as he's still on that contract that you negotiated, he's going to pay you. So yeah, let's, because we've really spent 36 minutes and we have two more questions. We'll take two more questions actually. We have more, but we'll take two. I structured my commission on a loan deal the same way I would on a permanent transfer. Is that actually compliant, or have I set up myself for a problem? I would say point blank, the distinctions are not there. Like the distinctions are not much actually. Not that they are not there. It does exist, but it's basically almost the same. It's just about the timing and what is in the contract. Yeah, Mido, what do you think about this? Is there a problem?
Yeah, I think like you said, there really isn't much difference. And to be fair, even the RSDP and the FFAR doesn't necessarily cover um, that aspect, you know. But I think things that could come across, because most times what I've realized is when you have loan deals and the likes like that, it's usually on behalf of the clubs, not usually on behalf of the players, more often than not. And most agents collect their commissions off the clubs doing the transfer, because at the end of the day, it's still a transfer. So it's just going to be a percentage of the transfer fee, especially when you're dealing with the clubs.
I think where a lot of people have problem is during the loan deal, and there's this other clauses like obligation to buy, you know,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
those sort of clauses, they don't know how to go around it and say, okay, what is my commission here? What is my percentage here? What do I stand to gain if this clause is eventually triggered? You know. But by all means, I would say try as much as possible to treat your loan deal as if you are negotiating on behalf of the club like a transfer deal. Put all your goal bonuses, put all your performance bonuses, even put your gifts and what have you. Then let the club in which the player is going on loan give a pullback and say, you know what, this is not happening. Go and collect it from the parent club. But by all means, you've done the right thing. There's actually no problem. Just look at the clauses that you're inserting and look at the structure, you know, and
And
you'll be fine.
yeah, you just mentioned an obligation to buy. An obligation to buy is obviously once it is triggered, that is when you can now say, oh, okay, because that on its own is a different transfer. Because that now a permanent transfer, different from a loan deal. Because a loan deal is just temporary. You have to go back to your loan club. So if you have an obligation to buy, is someone saying I'm downloading movies and
Yeah, and you can see too.
yeah, so that is already a different contract, you know. That's already a different contract. So once you have like an obligation to buy, once that is triggered, then you can begin, negotiations for that. You get your obviously your percentage on that, because Once that is triggered, the player you need to renegotiate a contract between that player and that club. Whereas in a loan deal, usually what you have is okay, who is going to pay what percentage of the original, contract. So that's like there's not really much difference, but that's like the major difference between the loan deal, the permanent transfer, and the obligation to buy.
Yeah, I think it's just clauses. To be fair, it's the clauses that will determine how far or to what extent you can interpret the agreement. Yes, and Tunk has been saying that you've been downloading movies since, and yeah, my hairstyle. Maybe maybe tomorrow I'll be on cornrows. Who knows? Yes, question six. It's all what I did there. Cornrows. Who knows? We'll take this small question. This last
I think this
question.
is why you should not be a Tottenham fan.
So this person says, I negotiated an endorsement deal for my player alongside his contract renewal. Does the FFL commission cap apply to both or just the playing contract? Point blank, there's
Yeah,
no cap yet, to be fair. Even though there's a whole lot of litigations going around, the law of changes and things like that. It's still, agents are still on the highway driving speed to put any percentage as long as the player is happy to accept that in his rep agreement. So on the endorsement deal, we'll talk about industry standard, right? I think, Mido, what would you say a typical industry standard should look like for endorsement deal?
yeah. I think the last time I saw it was like 20%.
Yeah, 20,
Um,
25%, depending on the industry. Yeah.
yeah. So, but obviously, like Fumbi mentioned, for the endorsements, there is really no um cap on commercial deals. But one thing I always try to tell people is when you're now when you're doing these things like agreeing or entering into an agreement with the player, obviously it's a contract, so it depends on your agreement with that player. But at the end of the day, some people will tell you stuff like put the fear of God in you when you're when you're fixing those percentages. Yeah, because I think it's one of the reasons why FIFA came up with the whole cap on uh agency fees and the likes like that because of the exorbitant percentages that some agents, due to the influence they have and the influence they have on the players, anyways. On the Fumbi, are you okay? Yeah, it looks like you're checking yourself out.
Yeah, I'm looking at my hairstyle.
So yeah. So obviously you need to put when you're making these percentages, just put a fair um percentage on these things. And on the representation agreement, we all know about the ongoing, although the ECJ has already made a judgment on the issue, but I think FIFA is now going to engage, various stakeholders, and they're going to come to a final resolution. So until then, I think we just stay put and keep watching on what they eventually release. And yeah, but put the fear of God in you when you're fixing those percentages.
For me, I think what this question might even tilt towards is probably maybe this person in his rep agreement. Usually, you're supposed to point blank state what percentage you are getting. If you check the template on Ballbridge, you'll be able to see it there. So if you just app.ballbridge.com, you can put the link out. So if you check the rep agreement, you're supposed to put it point blank as agent. This is how much I'm charging you for commercial contracts. So usually 20, 25%, 15%, Then on your playing contract, this is how much I will charge you. So
Yeah,
I think if you don't do that, the whole contract will be assumed, whether it's the endorsement or the commercial deal and the playing deal, everything will be capped up in that just one singular thing that you have put. So that's what I think the comments on FFAR even says. So if you don't point blank put it there, if you negotiate something and there's no separate agreement, so some people do it this way. Some people have a separate agreement for
yeah,
the commercial side of the deal. Some people just use one single template. So for us, I believe we just use one single template. We have everything there. So as you're signing the rep agreement, you're also signing the commercial agreement, so that there's not too much back and forth and too many paperwork. So yes, because this is the last question. What do you think? Okay. Somebody says recently Besiktas dropped an agreement of Salah because his manager asked for 35%. Did you follow that? Yes, I think Tunk Moses would have followed the news. Moses is very current on of this like this. To be honest, I've been so busy.
Yeah.
And yes, that 5% has no fear of God, like what Medun say. Because it's not the manager that is playing the game, and depending on what the contract is. So yeah, 35% is, and these are the reasons why FIFA wants to put a cap to these things. And you can see it in the likes of Osimi as well, in which agents will be trying to block moves of player by asking for some exorbitant deals. But sometimes, like this Salah one, you cannot be too sure the player and the agent are not in sync. We've seen it. May so rest in peace. One of the greatest inspiration in the sports business, Mino Raiola. His commissions are over the roof, and the players actually agree to it. The players are actually telling him, go ahead, charge as much as you want. We are more than happy to support it and not challenge it. So it depends. So the Salah one, I don't have the facts now. To be fair, might even have been agreed by the agent and Salah himself to say, "I'm putting this. I'm asking for this." And Salah say, "Okay, go ahead. If they will give you, why not?" So yeah, I think commission is a very dicey thing. That's why, by all means, create a relationship with your players and have that communication with them. So there's no World Cup, so we can see that we have a lot more viewers. We are not rushing anywhere, and the Premier League is starting soon. Get your Tottenham jersey, and yes, any last words, Midu?
Um, so I can't really see anything bad about Tottenham because that's the official club for
No,
Austin the company.
don't let Arsenal fans
But
all subscribe.
yeah, but I think what I'll just say is to keep being updated on the rules and regulations, because currently we are seeing a lot of changes in the compliance and regulatory frameworks of FIFA. And as you know, or I assume you know that an excuse, you can't give an excuse as ignorance is not an excuse when it comes to law. So you need to keep being abreast. I know Moses sends like regular updates on um, regulatory things on the community page. You can check our LinkedIn also. We drop weekly regulatory updates and just keep abreast of the new rules, new regulations being updated. And yeah, in your spare time, support Barcelona. And yeah, but to be fair, on a more serious note now, I would advise you to keep being abreast of the changes in regulations.
Okay. Thank you guys. I would say thank you so much for staying behind. Shout out to you, Tunk. And yes, Tunk has his own YouTube special. You guys should try and follow him, try and subscribe to him. It's part of the community as well. More conversation will be going on in the community. If you're not part of it, use this link to join us. Like and subscribe. By August, I think August 10, August 15, the date will be communicated. The updated version of the FIFA agent exam, 400 most common question, is the best-selling FIFA agent exam question book in the world. And we are proud to say that. And thank you to all our well-wishers and everybody who has contributed to making that book a success. So if you want to also pre-order it, you have a discount code. Just reach out to us, and we'll be able to get that for you, and you get the very first special edition, and also you're able to get discounts on Bridge subscription. So thank you guys. It's been nice to talk to you. Like, share, and subscribe. And we remain your favorite sports agent, the ball business. And shout out to Tumishe, the guy behind the camera, the guy in the studio. We say thank you and God bless you. Bye, guys.
Bye.